So I'll call. I'm sorry. I'll call the special meeting for July 10th, 2023 into order. Is that correct? Special meeting, correct? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Let's start by introductions. I am Pat Airport Commissioner.
Danielle Monroe, alternate.
Nico Jordan, Commissioner.
Kevin Seaman, Commissioner.
Pat.
That's a large, commissioner, alternate, alternate.
Great. Dave.
Dave McCollum, in the Wetlands agent.
Mary Churchill, recording secretary.
Okay, and if I'm correct, everybody is seated for this meeting?
We're,
Okay, we're all
I mean, if you want to seat everybody, or
Yes.
if you want to seat both Pat and Danielle, I don't see why you can't.
fine. Everyone's seated. Okay, okay, first thing on the agenda is 185 Grassy Plain Street. Mr. Olson.
Good evening, Peter Olson, on behalf of the applicant JAR Associates LLC. Our engineer informed me this morning that he's still working on plans
Okay,
to respond to the engineer review by the town's consultant. They should have been in 2 weeks ago, but he's very busy and we were not at the top of his list. So he does promise that they will be in this week.
okay,
Also, I can report that we've engaged Dr. Wagner. Dr. Wagner is a professor at the University of Connecticut who specializes in butterflies. He is the guy in the state of Connecticut. He advises the DEEP on butterfly issues. So he is supposed to be out there this week, and we should have his report shortly.
Okay.
So we're making progress, albeit slowly, but hopefully it speeds up soon. My request is if you can arrange it, if you can have a special meeting at the end of July, that will allow the Planning and Zoning Commission to act at their meeting of August 8th before they go on summer vacation. We also have only until August 3rd to close the public hearing.
okay. My only question, end of July, what is your schedule?
So, great question. I am out of office for the next 2 Mondays, the 17th and the 24th.
Okay,
So if the commission wanted to have a special meeting on the 31st to accommodate the applicant, I would be available.
so the second question I have is, with you being out, your engineer submitting his findings, who reviews his engineer's findings?
And we're gonna have time. So
Right.
it's the
That's the
same,
question.
it's the same engineer that's reviewing for the Planning and
So-
Zoning Commission as for you.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I will harass Beth rather than David to get a response from the
good. I
engineer.
don't want to harass Beth. You can.
And it'll be a tight window for me to go through my comments. I'll essentially have 2-3 days maybe
Okay.
to do that. But I've been in this situation before and.
So my only question is, does it give us enough time to adequately review from your side and your side, the applicant side and the town side, to be able to have a special meeting at the end of this month and accommodate?
I don't see why not.
Okay, I am available. I do not know, would you be available,
I'm available.
Nico?
It's actually.
Proposed date, July.
So it would be Monday, July 31st.
Yeah. Yes.
Same time, 7 o'clock here in meeting room D.
I would actually like, I'm gonna just confirm on my phone and check my schedule,
Okay,
but I believe that I'll be fine.
and if the commission is amenable, we could always continue to have our meetings by Zoom too.
I would, yeah, I always like to have a Zoom option.
Okay.
Now, would you be available Monday the 31st?
Yeah, I'm available.
So it sounds like we would have a quorum.
Okay,
Okay. So. Next question is, and you know better than me, the timeline, so we're good on.
That's it on the 31st.
That's me.
We
so
may have 2 or 3 more days. I think it's August 3rd.
Okay,
so if you were to hold a special meeting on the 31st, you would have 2 days left of extension time.
so I'm okay with doing so. Find the board any concerns with having a special meeting on the 31st.
I don't have any concerns. I have a question. If we're
Okay.
not able to close it on that day, then we would have to schedule like an emergency meeting. No, we wouldn't. have to
I
do that.
mean, I don't know.
That's never been a thing.
Well, no, I mean, a special meeting could be scheduled, but I just don't know what the efficacy of that would be. I don't know what the level of expectation would be in doing that. You know, if for some reason something doesn't work one way or another, the applicant always has the option to withdraw their application.
So,
Procedural.
And then they would have to resubmit, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so if anything, let's say. Your information doesn't come back in an adequate amount of time, or you get delayed, or somebody gets delayed on one side, we would have to just make steps towards. Something of that nature.
Yeah, so I don't think I think David's correct that having a special meeting in the 2 or 3 days after the 31st wouldn't do anything like it. Any issue that came up on the 31st
Couldn't be resolved.
couldn't be resolved in 3 days.
Yeah.
So what we would do is withdraw and immediately resubmit. Problem this creates for us is planning and zoning only has one meeting in August.
Yeah.
That's August 8th. And so we're trying to push everything to get done on the 8th, otherwise we're in September. And honestly, my guy needs the rock.
okay,
Basically, so
it's expensive.
yeah, it's a very expensive if we do that.
Yeah.
So we don't want to put ideas in your head, but that's how we would solve it, is
Right.
withdraw and immediate resubmission.
So,
And in fact, I'm sorry, I know you want to say something, but
always,
just to keep this in mind. You know, planning and zoning meeting cycle is 2 weeks, 14 days, and for many applications. You can get a notice out and have a public hearing, so. You know, even if you have to withdraw and resubmit,
Right.
coming back at the next month with a new public hearing is not a big deal. Never is, so.
so
That's fine.
Dave, let's say we do this on the 31st, approve it or deny it. We
No.
usually,
It,
go ahead,
it's not about, well, I mean.
because we usually go to the next
If-
meeting to review the
If the
outcome.
commission is so compelled to have a decision rendered that night, you can. I mean, what you could do is you could have another meeting the following Monday on the 7th. If you wanted to have more time to discuss.
I guess if we render a decision that night, does it give enough time to process all the approvals and everything? Because usually we ask you to write up approval, we look at it next meeting and then approve it.
Right,
Can we make this happen? That's my question. Overall,
I don't see why you
Approve
couldn't,
or
but,
deny, okay.
we're only in the public hearing period right
Okay.
now. What we need to do is get extension time to have enough extension time to get through the public hearing process.
Okay.
Then you have your decision status deliberation period. Attorney Olson's advising that he wants the Planning and Zoning Commission to be in a position to render a decision on their application for August 8th.
right?
So if the commission wanted to close the public hearing and render a decision the same night, you could.
Okay,
I don't want to speak for you guys and say you're gonna have everything you need to
okay,
be able to
right,
close the public hearing and render a decision the same night. So if you wanted to go the route of giving yourselves time, as annoying as it is to schedule a special meeting the following week.
Okay.
After scheduling another special meeting.
Okay.
My recommendation would be you could schedule a special meeting for the 7th, just to discuss
all right,
the decision
okay.
for this application.
And that would still give enough time for the applicant, for the August 8th cutoff.
Right, right,
We
because
need to be
then,
done before the 8th in order for you to
Right, 'cause
proceed
then
forward, so.
because then your guys' resolution for this application would be in the record, when P and Z has to decide
Okay.
on the 8th.
All right, perfect. So I make a motion that we schedule this agenda item for 185 Grassy Plain Street to a special meeting to be held on July 31st at 7 PM in meeting room D.
I second.
All those in favor, singing by saying aye. Aye. Abstain.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Well, this,
Raise it.
rescheduling of the meeting.
Are we losing, if, it's just a procedural question, if
Frank?
the applicant, you know. Isn't ready, so we've rescheduled a special meeting and now they're asking for another one. Correct, so then do we lose time to review the material and to have any like.
Good, they don't.
Dave is saying-
Or do
That we
we
can schedule another one.
so as soon as the response comments come from the applicant, I will let you guys know. There's a Google Drive that gets set up for every meeting. And I would make it a point to say, hey, you guys can review these revised materials in advance of the meeting. And hopefully everybody has a chance to look at them before the meeting, right? So that way they can make their presentation. You guys can ask your questions. That dialogue can happen in one night.
July 31.
July 31st, that's correct. And assuming that dialogue takes place and you as a commissioner are satisfied with the applicant's responses, you close the public hearing, and then you make and then you have a discussion for me to have a resolution of approval or a resolution of denial, ready for another special meeting on August 7th. So that way you're not doing both things in one night.
We could decide that on the 31st.
Yeah, we can decide that on the 31st, because if everything's clear cut and in front of us, then it's very, or if something's vastly like out of place, we
Right.
could very easily approve or deny. If something like very, very in our face in either direction on the 31st, or if we want the extra week to, review material and then deliberate on
Okay.
the 7th, we can choose to do that. We can make that choice on the 31st.
Okay, so yeah, so I just wondered if we were losing time to
We
discourse.
would never take time
I
away. to
I mean,
deliberate.
this is the amount of time it's taken thus far is a disservice to both you and the applicant, because now you're working with less time. Both of you are.
Right.
If they have comments to you, you have less time to review them. If you have questions for them, they have less time to get back to you. So it's in their best interest, right? If they want you to render a decision, to make sure they have all their ducks in a row for the 31st. So that's why it's important for you and it's important for me, or Beth, depending on when those response comments get back, for them to you guys. And for you guys then to act upon looking at all the materials, so that way come July 31st, the public hearing continues, you're ready to go. They give their presentation, but you're ready with your questions or comments, whatever you have for them.
So just to be clear on a couple of things, the reason it's taking us so long is we're trying to get answers to questions
Right,
that you've asked.
right.
And it's been extremely difficult on this one particular issue,
Finding a butterfly guy.
being a butterfly guy. I
Well,
mean,
I appreciate you
Yeah.
trying to.
and
How high of a demand is there for a butterfly?
None.
I
Zero.
couldn't.
This is
picture
not
this
a
guy
job
with
that
one
anybody
day
has.
stacked.
The
I
guy's
couldn't picture
happy.
his schedule being like stacked to the brim with
it is, he
butterflies.
is the only guy that is stacked to the brim.
Note to self, become a butterfly girl.
I don't think he gets paid a lot, though.
Is he a
Yeah,
Peabody- where's
I
he
don't
work?
think
Is he a
so
Peabody
either.
Museum guy? Or
What?
is he a Peabody Museum guy? Or do you know?
No, he's at university. He's forced.
All right, so. I think
But
we
here's the other point, is you're canceling your regular meeting on the 24th.
Mhm.
You don't have to do that. I mean, David can have fun in London and we can all get together and talk about stuff.
I think we've already arranged to have that meeting canceled, so.
Yeah.
Let's see, Dave.
Okay.
Okay, so, just to recap, the motion's been made to move this
Well,
this item on the
Agenda item.
agenda to July 31st.
yeah,
It's been seconded, so I'm just gonna go through again. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain. Against, unanimous, approved.
okay.
Okay, I do have a question.
You already took a
Nico,
vote.
our commission member, has submitted questions. You have copies of them
Yes.
that are being
Yep.
addressed as well. Perfect. Okay,
Some of them coincide with the word tool.
With what?
Some of the Dave's comments or the
Yeah.
engineer comments. for
Oh, I'm
the
sure.
word tool.
Whatever overlap there is, I'm sure the
makes it
applicant
easier for me to
will
answer.
make that, will clarify that in their response. One way or another.
Okay. Is there anything else pending for that application? No, we're good.
No, so I would just,
Appreciate you coming in to handle that.
I would just state before we continue the meeting that this public hearing is going to be continued at that special meeting
And
on July 31st.
so stated.
7 PM, meeting room D, in person and on Zoom.
So stated, unless you want to zoom in on the 24th. No. I'm kidding.
If I were to do that, I would be doing it from a plane with, I'm sure, very, very spotty Wi-Fi.
And maybe a few breaks.
No, either that or a few Z's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
If you're coming back, it's a daytime flight. No sleep allowed.
You have been there a lot.
Yeah.
Europe, yeah.
Just bloody.
Okay, new business and Land Commission regular meetings, minutes, looking for approval for the 6/26.
Ready?
Thank you, sir. Make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from 6/26, 2023
Is that as written?
as written.
I second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Against, ayes have it, motion carries. We have a bill, $2,600.
It is not a bill as much as it is a pledge.
We've been through this.
We
before,
have been
yes.
through this
Yeah.
before. This is for the Northwest Conservation Districts. The expert that you guys sometimes request me to have or to conduct peer reviews for applications. This is a yearly contribution that you guys make as a commission to this district, along with all the other towns that are in it, which is pretty much everybody in Litchfield County and a few scattered towns in Hartford County, New Haven County, and northern Fairfield County, if I'm not mistaken. So don't feel like you guys are the only ones on the hook for this contribution. Everybody else makes it. They do continuing outreach, they do education with programs they have in McCower Park and Bennett Park. I don't know if you guys have seen their presentations that they've done down in the general purpose room for pollinator gardens and what have you. But the contributions that you guys make help to contribute to the success of that program. It's always been my recommendation since I've been in this position to have you guys continue giving that pledge. I don't see why you wouldn't want to continue to support the NWCD. And I'm happy to entertain any questions you guys might have.
Does it make sense to have a peer review for this application?
It's too late to ask for it.
When do you have to ask? When?
I always recommend you ask for peer reviews of applications when you're accepting them. So that way the applicant has ample awareness that it's another expert that's going to be weighing in that they can expect comments from. Right now, yeah, not to dive into that too much, but usually for the process of peer reviews, you give the peer reviewer an opportunity to go out to take a look at the site, do their own tests, produce their own reports for you guys, for the applicant. It's essentially another me, if you will, that's a soil scientist or a wetland scientist. The vantage point of having them early in the game is it gives them time to prepare and go through things thoroughly with not just the applicant, but with you. So trying to introduce a peer reviewer this late in the review process or later in the review process, you're doing a disservice to everybody.
Yeah. I just feel like we. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Would we, I feel like we would need a peer review for something like the heat issue.
Well, the public hearings,
Yeah.
it's already been continued, so you can't discuss that at length anymore during this meeting.
Okay.
So, if that was a concern of yours, it's something that.
Or in general, not for this application, but for future, because it's too.
Yeah, if it's a comment that you want to have considered and you feel that a peer reviewer can best address it, then I would, it's in your best interest to have that comment be made known when you're accepting the application, not midway through the process.
Okay.
But the Northwest Conservation District's peer review support is independent of your yearly contribution for education and program outreach and what have you. They just happen to be the same entity. So don't confuse their peer review services with the education and the outreach center.
This sort of reviewed in depth, what, 2 years ago? 2, 3 years ago?
Well, yeah,
Because
it's
of
it's a
the,
contribution you guys make every year.
Right.
Last year, the pledge renewal request had come in late. And for some reason, we weren't able to get it on the agenda item one way or another, so we ended up getting. I think it was 2021's pledge
Yeah.
in during 2022,
Something like that.
yeah.
Yep,
So-
All right, I make a motion that we approve the 2,600 to be paid to Northwest Conservation District.
A second.
All those in favor, saying by saying aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Against. Abstain. Unanimous ayes have it.
Where can we find a listing of the things that they are doing locally?
They gave me a report last year. I think I may have put it in the Google Drive for this meeting. If I didn't, then I can have them, I can get the annual report they gave for last year. And then have them give you one for this year as well.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool, just to see what's,
Sure,
you know, you have some free time, it might be interesting to see some of the stuff that they might
sure,
be presenting locally.
absolutely,
Get it done.
absolutely, no problem.
Any comments?
If it's not on the agenda, I can't make anything, I can't add anything to it.
Great. I make a motion that we adjourn for the evening then.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Staying
That was quick.
Pat, thank you for joining. Great, Pat.
Thank you.